Hello, everyone. So my name is Vanessa Fairhurst, and I'm Community Engagement Manager at Crossref. And today I'm going to speak with our Executive Director, Ed Pence, about the principles of open scholarly infrastructure, which is also known as POSI, and why Crossref is one of the organisations that's signed up. So before we talk about Crossref's specific needs, I'm going to first ask Ed about some of the motivations for POSI originally. So why was there a need for this set of rules to help guide organisations like ours, and what are they intended to achieve?
Thanks, Vanessa. Back in 2015, the principles, which we refer to as POSI, the Principles of Open Scholarly Infrastructure, were put forward in a blog post by Jennifer Lin, Cameron Nayland, and Jeffrey Bilder. Jennifer and Cameron were at the Public Library of Science at the time, and Jeffrey was and still is at Crossref. They were concerned there was a growing distrust of infrastructure services, and they wanted to outline some principles and practices to help the scholarly community safeguard against some of the risks around infrastructure services and particularly open infrastructure services. They really looked at a set of services, Crossref, ORCID, others, that were essential foundational services. And there was a concern about them going away, not being financially sustainable, the founders losing interest, or the organization diverting from its original mission, and this would mean that the data and the services they provide would be less open. So, two of the things that the principles are trying to do is encourage transparency and build trust. And so they do this. There's 16 principles and practices that open infrastructure organizations can follow and assess themselves against, and the community can assess organizations and initiatives against these principles. And they cover things. The three key areas are governance, sustainability, and what's called insurance, which is really around open source software and open data.
Okay. So POSI helps organizations and initiatives such as ours guide their practices and their work towards openness and sustainability. So Crossref's been around for over 20 years now, and it has proven that it's sustainable. So why did the board feel the need to make this public statement?
Yes, and financial stability is financial sustainability is very important to the principles, but it's not just about that. So Crossref has expanded and broadened organically, and our infrastructure, the services we provide, are critical to the whole scholarly research ecosystem: universities, research institutions, funders, government agencies. So it's not just traditional publishers who did found Crossref, but our stakeholder community has expanded, and we wanted to explicitly evolve our government, and the staff and board felt we needed to make some public commitments around this. And as we continue to grow and change, we wanted to build trust with the community, and we realized that a public statement from the board would help overcome some of the mistrust from back many years ago when Crossref was seen as purely a publisher-driven initiative. But it's been many years since that's been the case.
So it sounds as though POSI is already quite aligned with what we do and who we are at Crossref, but we needed to codify these as more of a public commitment so that others can hold us to account and we can hold ourselves to account as well. And we've seen from all the self-assessments that nobody quite meets all these principles perfectly just yet. So what would you say are the areas that Crossref needs to improve upon?
Yeah, so we definitely intended for people to look more closely at what we're doing and be able to hold us to account over meeting the principles. But we also were very transparent about some of the areas where we needed to improve. And POSI is definitely a progression, and trying to meet them is something that we'll be working on and discussing with the other organizations as well who've endorsed the principles. A couple of the key areas, there's around governance and stakeholder governance. So right now, Crossref membership is based on those organizations who register content. We have over 15,000 members, so it's very broad and very inclusive, but funders are now registering grants with us. So we have a funder candidate on the slate for this year's board election. And over time, we recognize that we're going to need to have better representation on our board from the whole community. We're also working on our 12-month contingency fund and establishing the rules around how we're going to hold that money and what it can be used for. And we've been publishing more information about our finances on our website, and that might include our policies and staff handbooks and things like that. And another key area is open source code. Anything new we're doing and developing is open source. The core Crossref system, which has been around for many, many years, is not amenable to open sourcing at the moment, just because it's old code and we're updating large parts of it. So over time, it's going to become more and more open.
Okay, thanks. So lots we're already doing, but lots of things to work on as well. And some very practical changes that we're going to be making. And I'm sure there'll be other useful examples from other organizations that have committed to the principles for open scholarly infrastructure as well. So what would you say the future looks like for Crossref and the wider community with the help of POSI?
Yeah, so when the Crossref board adopted the principles, we were also looking at the pandemic had gotten underway, and we were looking at how the pandemic would affect Crossref and the wider community. And we realized that it was, while we are very collaborative and work with other organizations, that was collaboration and working with other organizations was key to the future, and even more important than before. And so one of the things is we saw POSI as a way of identifying potential partners and starting discussions with others about collaborating more closely. So that is sort of the first step in working towards the vision we have of rich and reusable open network of relationships that includes metadata, persistent identifiers that connect research organizations, people, things, and actions. And we refer to that as the scholarly record. And we also use the term research nexus. So it's making those connections. And of course, we can't do that just on our own. And so that involves collaboration with others. And so we want that research nexus, the scholarly record, to be available openly for the global scholarly community to build on. And the ultimate goal is for the benefit of society and advancing human knowledge. So we definitely want to make that connection of the more practical principles with that broader vision. It's very, very important to keep that in mind as we go forward.
Great. Well, I think we're about at our time. This has been really useful, really interesting. Very excited to see what the future holds for POSI and all of the organizations that are committing to it. And you can check out the principles of open scholarly infrastructure yourselves, see if it resonates as well with you and your organization. So I just want to say thank you to the organizers of the Munin 2021 conference for accepting our proposal to come and speak to you today. We'd be happy to answer any questions. We should be in the audience, and we'll be happy to speak to you there. So thanks very much, and thanks to Ed.
Great, thanks, and very happy to answer any questions. Thank you.